Well, this is just getting a bit silly now, isn't it? Like, look, listen, we all know, right, that physical gaming isn't exactly in its biggest boom period ever, and it's not doing too great. I mean, the gap between physical and digital gaming is only widening every year. There are a few games that do really well physically, sometimes even better than digitally. But, you know, for all intents and purposes, that gap is only going to widen. It's never going to shrink again. And that's just the way it is. But also, it feels kind of a lot like some publishers, but it also feels like a lot of publishers are trying to do everything they can to widen that gap even further, and it's not that subtle. So, following on from the early Indiana Jones joke of a physical release, here's another Bethesda game that's got basically nothing on the disc. The very valuable resource for the physical gaming community, known as Does It Play, tweeted out news that the PS5 disc for Doom the Dark Ages has just 85 megabytes on the disc, meaning there's pretty much nothing on there, so you have to download 85 gigabytes of data to play the game. So you have to download 1,000 times the amount of data on the disc to be able to play it. For reference, right, Super Mario All-Stars on the Wii gets clowned a lot for being a disc with only 12 megabytes of data on, and that's fair enough, but it actually has the game on there that you can play. There used to be a bit of a myth, right, about most physical games all needing to connect to the internet and or download a patch. I'm not sure where that came from, to be honest, which places like Does It Play have proved entirely false. But stuff like this is making it true, that publishers are turning a myth into fact. What bothers me about this as a pretty big Doom fan is that there was no reason at all, right, to believe the game would not be on the disc for those who pre-ordered the physical editions of the game, including the rather pricey collector's edition. I love my Doom tat, okay? I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't gamble, I don't have kids, but I do have 5 copies of Doom 3. I actually cancelled my pre-order of the collector's edition in light of this news, as well as some truly insane undisclosed import fees that Bethesda never mentioned, but that's another thing, and I'm just going to play the Dark Ages on Steam instead. If I do end up buying that collector's edition at some point, which I probably won't now, to be honest, I'll be stuck with what may become an inaccessible game on PS5 if the servers ever go offline. This is Doom, by the way. Doom, it's not some, indie game where it cost more than they probably get back to print it. This is Doom, a series that began with people sharing floppy disks. It is physical gaming, even if it's got a big PC market. This is, for many people on console, this is a physical series. It's an industry-defining franchise that is probably the only AAA single-player FPS left standing, and they couldn't even be asked to put it up more than a fraction of the data for it on a disc. Clair Obscur, by the way, a AA release, has everything you need on the PS5 disc from day one. Not only in Doom's case is this just extremely wasteful from a pure resource perspective, because there's 100 gigabytes of data on a Blu-ray disc that they're just not using, but it's just the most lip-servicey, performative support of physical gaming you could really imagine. It's like going to give a homeless person a ham sandwich, but then slipping out the ham when they go to take a bite. It almost feels as if Bethesda didn't want to bother, but then again, Xbox didn't want to bother putting Forza on a disc at all, which is a massive series, and there's a big subscription service they have that they probably want people to be all over instead, so who knows. But really, it's overall not a good time for physical gaming at large these days. This is the worst time for physical gaming ever.
So far.
As mentioned, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle came with just 20 gigabytes of the necessary data on the disc. That's kind of pathetic, and also means that you cannot play the game without a download. It's better than 85 megabytes, but still, it's not good. And also just kind of surprising and a bit maybe myopic. It's Indiana Jones. It's a IP that skews towards an older audience, an audience who's probably more inclined to play physical games, so to kind of just half-arse it with the physical release doesn't make much sense to me. But there's also, of course, the Switch 2 game keycard situation, which really, let's be honest, is more complicated than it needs to be. I'd like to actually have all of the keycard games in my hand before I really, dig it out. But it seems pretty bad for preservation to have physical games without games on them. You can still lend them to people and sell them on, of course, but what happens when the Switch 2 servers go offline? Will you still be able to play them? Can you download them? What's going to happen there? And there's the PS5 Pro disc drive stuff, with you needing to buy a separate bit of hardware to play physical games on your Pro. A console I still haven't seen a single reason to exist, by the way. Not a single reason, but that's okay. That's fine. You know why make a digital-only gamer, right, pay for a disc drive they may not use? Sony should probably have just offered the option to buy a Pro with the drive installed anyway. But what's bad here is that you need an internet connection to actually activate that drive, which is crazy to think about. Why would you need an internet connection for a hardware issue? It's bizarre. Again, when the servers go offline in the future, because they will, servers always go offline, how are you going to be able to play your physical games? Chuck in console physical collector's editions without a physical disc, which is crazy to me still. Why bother? Many AAA publishers going down this bespoke route with physical prints, with stuff like Dead Rising's remake not getting a disc for months after the digital release, and physical sometimes being even more expensive. And it's hard not to think that physical gaming is being turned into a bit of a joke on purpose. Yeah, so listen, if the next generation of consoles is like this, and let's be honest, a lot of them, I mean the PS6 probably won't even launch with a physical drive as standard. You're probably going to have to buy that separately. And then the Xbox, can you even imagine the Xbox Series, whatever they call it, Xbox Series, Xbox Season 12 or whatever they're calling these things, will even have a disc drive in it? I can't foresee it. So it's not the greatest time for physical gaming at all, and I do think that we're maybe gonna have one more generation of console gaming that is physical at all, and then that will be it. It'll be done. But I also think it's kind of quite short-sighted. There's a whole generation of gamers like my age, older, getting older. A lot of publishers and big names don't realise the value of console gaming for a lot of people. I play pretty split console and PC, and for the reasons with consoles is that physical gaming can oftentimes be a lot cheaper and just easier, and it's better to just sit and relax on your couch and pull up a RPGs and chill with a physical game, which you can buy for cheaper usually, whereas with digital you're usually kind of stuck into that ecosystem and you have to pay the fee, you have to pay the troll toll, or you won't get in the RPG hall. So one of the reasons that I'm still playing consoles instead of entirely PC is because a lot of the time the games on console physically is significantly cheaper than on the console digitally, and a lot of the time, not all of the time like it used to be on PC digitally, because you can of course get from other storefronts. But the issue with digital gaming on consoles is that you have to essentially, apart from a few specific third-party sellers, have to buy a game in that ecosystem. You have to go on the store and pay the RRP at launch, because Sony needs a bigger cut. They take 30%, Steam take 12%, and also because they think they can, so they will charge more a lot of the time than games on Steam. If that option is taken away to try and find a game physically on PS5 for cheaper, then I'm assuming a lot more people simply won't bother. See, the value of physical gaming ultimately comes down to two things, which is preservation and value. When you remove one of those two pillars, value, a lot of people probably won't see the value continuing to support console gaming, an ecosystem which still, makes you pay to play online. It doesn't seem like a good value proposition, as easy as it is to buy a console, plug it in, download a game, and it works. Personally, I'm not looking forward to the next generation at all, and this generation has just kind of been shite. That's my 2 cents. What are yours? Drop them down below in the comments down below. What do you think of this whole thing? Are you that bothered about the waning of physical gaming, or have you been more digital for a while? Me, you've seen my tat, I like physical stuff. Let me know what you think down below. I've been Jimmy. Be good having you. Thanks for watching.